All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Still the Press, coming to you live from the Abuja studios of KAFTAN Television. And like I promised, we've now been joined by Duke Alamboye, who's a policy analyst, and together we shall be taking a look at the headlines I read out to you earlier. And this is also a reminder that our phone lines will be open shortly for you to call and join the conversation. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
It's a pleasure having me once more.
It's always a pleasure to have you.
Yeah.
So let's get into the business of the day. I'll take this headline from the Punch. It says 2,000 vacancies now open for APC faithful and Tinubu's allies. That's how the Punch chooses to report that story. But we know that this is coming from the fact that the president recently suspended some of the board members of some of the MDAs, and now people have been lobbying for that position. So what are your thoughts on all of this? Because like he said, it's about time to hit the ground running. So generally, what are your thoughts on the decisions of the president so far since he took over power from the President Muhammadu Buhari? And this, the releasing of some of the board members of the MDAs, how do you perceive that? And let's now talk about how Punch chose to report that story. Well,
it's unfortunate. We have freedom of speech and the freedom to express whatever we want to express as we can, as we want. But however, let me ignore that on first instance and take on the issue at hand. We are seeing a government that is very proactive. You see, this is the first time a particular government that came into office is trying to sweep off the bad, evil deeds of the other administration. You know, until we decide to take away people that do not have concerns for our country and fix back the nation, we will not go forward. And I think the president is very apt in doing this. He had come in, and there are lots of lapses. The MDAs didn't do well. Many of them didn't do well. And of course, this is a new administration. He has come on board with his own aims and objectives to meet. So if they don't fall into such ideas or ideals, is eminent that they leave the stage so that they can bring in people that will be very fixed for his administration. I don't want to be comfortable with the way Punch had published it, but the good thing is that we are going to have 2,000 persons in strategic positions in MDAs within the country that will execute the aims of this administration. So it's a good thing that he promptly has pulled off those personnel, and we're expecting technocrats, we're expecting people that knows the jobs. The MDAs are established on laws. What I mean here is that they have a particular aims and objective they want to meet within a certain period of time, and that is the most proactive aspect of governance or execution in governance, because the executive arms, when it gets to the ministry, when appropriations get to the ministry, the executions also go to the MDAs, where they do all of these jobs, mainly to satisfy or to project what the government is, in quote, ideals are. So it's a strategic place where people of integrity, people that can execute jobs perfectly, should be in that places. I think the president is going out of the spite of when people begin to use these offices to make their personal gains. He has vehemently said it openly and insisted mostly that his coming into power is to change the country. We heard his wife talk to Nigerians that they have the money anybody will be looking for. So their major priority is to bring back our country to a bouncing ball. So this is what I think that report should be. The report should be, of course, when there is space, people will lobby. But I think so far you're seeing the president not concerning himself with allies or the lobbies. I think he's concentrated and having smart guys like the chief of staff around him. You see that he's getting things rightly. Just recently, we saw the security chief's appointment that he made, and it's well spread into the country. And we hope that these 20,000 spaces that he has deliberately made will well fixed again for the purpose of national growth and unity.
All right. I will also take out that story and let's see how the Daily Sun reports it. It says appointment seekers intensify lobby, and the last part is going to shock you. Follow the president abroad, because we know that the president has traveled to Paris for the summit. Yeah. So some of them have actually decided to follow him abroad just to continue this lobbying. So I'm talking about now the desperation of
speculations. It's speculations. Let me tell you something. Before the appointment of service chiefs and other further appointments, there was a particular list lingering in circulation on social media and everywhere. But you could see that these people just also sit down and do permutations. Sometimes these permutations come to 4, and sometimes it is incorrect. We know that with around the presidency, there are some competent persons that naturally their names will fall into place. But I want to disagree the format or the idea of reporting news in the negative forms. It is done every part of it is done in every part of the world. When there are spaces for office, people lobby. What is lobby? We take lobby as a negative thing in our country. It's a positive instrument. Means that people are beginning to advocate to say they can do so particular job, following their credentials, their antecedents, and their professions. They can handle to them. Of course, there's openings. Those openings, Nigerians will surely occupy it. True or false? True. The first set of people that will occupy is are APC people in the country. They are the people that form the government. And looking at the APC people or the APC constituency, you also have to streamline it to capability and competence. So if those such persons are around government to see that they fix themselves in the government, of course it's for the good of the nation, and we shouldn't begin to report it or aspire it in a negative format. Of course, if today I have a job vacancies, people that are close to me are the people that will first know, and that they are possibly going to be the first people that I will begin to consider based on understanding and convenience. So this administration is set for working. They have said it that they want to work, and all other appointments have been made skillfully, but the major appointment we are waiting for is the executional function appointments, where you have ministers and these MDAs. So they have a lot to do to propagate and enhance the functions or the ideals of the Senator Tinubu's administration. So I am also aware that he's a very careful man. So these lobbies is also going to be filtered, and things will be gotten right to ensure that people with good character and competence occupy those spaces, those 2,000 spaces that has been advertised.
All right. Now, you made mention of having a lot, this administration having a lot to do. Yeah. And if we all agree, another thing that we all know that it should be on top of our list is the issue of insecurity in Nigeria. Yeah. So according to some of the national dailies that we have this morning, they made some statistics of what's going on in Plateau State. And I'll take the one from the Daily Trust. Daily Trust went as far as giving us some charts to display the figures of how things have happened in Plateau State so far. And it says in January, we had issues of, like in January, in 1 month, 1 person died, and in February that figure rose to 8, and in March it was 3, and in April 12. Then in May it went as high as 96, and in June we've had 67 people killed in Benue State, so in Plateau State, so far, I beg your pardon, and that figure has risen to 201 in total in just 5 months. So the issue of insecurity is something that we cannot talk about it enough until that issue is fixed. So what are your thoughts on how we can move forward? Because the new IGP of police is suggesting state policing, which the former or the previous government struck out several times. That conversation, they kept on putting a full stop to it at every point. So what are your thoughts about state policing?
Yeah, while we're growing, one of the factors that stimulated our coexistence and checks and balances in our activities is, I can remember my dad used to say, if any of us uses a foul language, that the next person that heard it should report it, because we're made to understand that foul language is not accepted. It's a law in my family while we're growing. So what we do is that once you use any foul language, we don't mercy you, because we are told that it is the beginning of immorality. So once you use any foul language, as bad as idiots, you're stupid, we go, anybody that have heard it, go straight to our father and report. When you report such that, there's an impression from my father that you're also a clean person. You are seen as a clean person, and you're also perceived as somebody that does not want bad thing to happen, or your younger one, or the person that has said that to happen. What am I saying in essence? It is only a people within a given geographical area that knows who is who. Policing, community policing or state policing has been overemphasized. It's something that we would have done if the past administration had even attempted it. We would have gone past some domestic, what I want to refer as domestic clashes. What is happening in Jos is what is happening in Plateau. There are domestic clashes that ordinarily would have been settled. It's a pity that the chieftaincy, the traditional rulers, constituency or authorities are not more prevalent again. So we need a conventional checks and balances on these issues. So the community policing, state policing is becoming too vital and unavoidable at the moment we want to solve the issues of insecurity. Let me also tell you how many numbers we have. The police forces, how many numbers of police personnel do we have in the country? They can't cover everywhere. To talk of even our elites are having them in their houses. So we need that state policing. How to model it the way politicians will not hijack it is one other thing, but let us give it a trial. It is only somebody from River State, the people within River State, that can know how to form a security architecture to protect their lives and properties from invaders and even internally. What is happening in Jos is merciful, is sad. But I think the government have this, the Plateau State government have a lot to do. I think I started him talking on AIT this morning. It's not just enough. You should arrest these issues. State of emergency should be declared in those communities. Let us see what is really happening. It is time for him to have town hall meeting with them one-on-one. There are leaders there. There are traditional leaders there. There are elders in those communities. These clashes are, when you go into the matters, you will be surprised. There are even menial issues that would have been settled. But when you allow it to escalate to that extent, it becomes community interest, and then people begin to fight and kill themselves. One bad thing I don't like about this whole issue is that I don't understand why we should have community issues to the extent of killing, taking our lives. In those days, they fight, they quarrel, they burn houses, but they don't take lives. Nice. So they burn houses to gain territories. They don't kill people. So these days, what we see is, taking lives that you cannot necessarily, they produce. So it's sad. So I think the Inspector General, the acting Inspector General, or I'm sure it's fully the Inspector General, I don't know. I think he's apt in this thing, and we are going to really consult with him. We want to support him, give him a voice on this clean line. Oh, yes, state policy. We want to put our voice to it and ensure that he is in the right track to get it right. I think it is the first step to solving insecurities issues within states, because this is predominantly where the problem lies. All right, let's take this call and we'll continue our conversation. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, beautiful morning to you, Sandra.
Good morning, SMD. How are you doing today?
Good morning to you. You are on to SMD from Lagos.
How are you doing today? Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
I'm doing pretty well, Sandra. And then Mr. Alamboye, thank you very much for your analysis, and then I really appreciate. Let me just talk one or two things. Like Mr. Alamboye mentioned, you see, honestly speaking, just because of the presence of social media, I do not mean that everybody is professional when it comes to field of journalism, and this is something that we must have to address it, especially when I know we have regulatory agencies that are used to watch and then monitor the activities of these social media. I remember there is this social media bill. What is wrong about that? Why are we not taking any action? Because everybody today, because you have a smartphone, you have an Android, you become journalist, and which is very wrong. Journalism goes with ethics. There is media ethics, there is broadcasting law, and so on and so forth. So we must have to, especially our NDC and the regulatory agencies, they must have to do something on this. We're not saying that we should do away with the human rights issue, but the issue is our country first. Before we allow people to bomb our country just because of their write-up and so many things. Look at what one Asari Bikubo was saying on social media, which is very wrong, very, very wrong. And I don't even buy that idea, honestly speaking. That's by the way. And then secondly, the issue of Plateau State. I made mention this once upon a time in this platform. I belong to Plateau State. I was a student of St. Michael Primary School, which is Roman Catholic mission. I'm a Muslim in and out. You understand? And before I proceed to St. Michael RCM Primary School, I went to Islamia Primary School. In that Islamia Primary School, we are there with PAM, we are there with Azi, we are there with Udensi and Monday and so on and so forth. In those days, there is nothing of this nature. We sit together, we collaborate together, we do things together. But while where we are today is because of this petty sentiment. I always mention this. We must have to learn how to bridge the gap between religious and ethnicity. Otherwise, we keep on messing ourselves, which I don't pray for. And lastly, the issue of lobbying, following Mr. President to abroad, just because, lobbying is part of the democratic ingredients. Like I made mention yesterday, there are three types of, there are three democratic ingredients, which lobby was there, dialogue was there, and the reconciliation is there. But the main thing is, let him look for people who are competent. I remember what he said a day before May 29th. He made mention that I'm going to do my work based on national competence. So that means we are looking for appointment of merit, not godfatherism or something of that nature.
All right, thank you.
Because we need to push this country forward. Thank you very much. I remain SND from Lagos.
All right, thank you so much for joining us on the conversation. All right, now in continuation of what we were talking about, you made mention of you also supported the issue of community policing, and you also made mention of abuse. So this abuse is not going to just come from the politicians. Let's now talk about those who will be employed into the community policing, also abusing the privileges, because we've seen how Amoteko has functioned so far, and then we also saw how Ibubago has functioned so far. There was a particular case of something that happened somewhere in Olu in Imo State, how some young men were killed by some alleged members of the Ibubago. So things like this, we should expect things like this to happen. But in a situation whereby we claim we don't have money as a country, and the DMO is saying let's try to reduce our borrowing, how would they be catered for? That's my first question. And then secondly, we're in a situation whereby the actual police force have not been given proper trainings and orientation, how would the state police function?
Well, yeah, I was going to that before you asked, you throwing this question to me. I think we shouldn't, throw the water with the child off it. Presently, the Nigerian police force is even understaffed. The personnel that executes internal orderliness are scarce. Now, they have the obligations to recruit, which they've not done. I think it should be the function of the federal government and the state government to come together to see how they can fund the state policing. Governors are given security votes in millions. So this is the time those funds should be put to use. Federal government can also take a step further to appropriate more funds to cater for this. If the government is not responsive to the immediate problem of the people or of the country, they are not government. So if the priority of this government is to solving insecurity issues permanently, let it be that this is one thing they achieved in their tenure. They have 4 years. You might be thinking 4 years is too long. 4 years is too long and not too long. We are counting days. In the next minute we'll be counting months. In the next minute we'll be counting year. So I think it's the responsibility of the state government and the federal government to come together to see how they can streamline both training activities for these security personnel and funding. Now, my fear is not allowing it to predominantly left in the hands of one of these tools I've mentioned. They should strike a balance where people are contributing, people are concerned, people are involved in the process. So therefore, it will now make those personnel that are engaged to carry out these services also streamline themselves, their conducts to conform with that of the function of the police. Actually, what they are doing is they are helping the police to solving security issues. So they might not be handlers of sophisticated weapons. Their duty could be more of intelligence reports. Their duty could be more of providing availability on areas, danger-prone areas. So, in connivance with the police that will be handling sophisticated weapons.
Okay.
This also varies from state to state. There are some states that are very volatile. So, if those states see it eminently that they should handle sophisticated weapon, they should, and then there should be that limit in conformity again to the act that established police, because the whole essence of all of this is to try to protect the state from external and internal aggressors. So these are the things that will be considered. I know that the present IG is a very experienced officer, and before he is taking on this course to say that is one of the best way of solving the issues of insecurity, he has also studied these antecedents. I'm sure he has also gone into feasibility studies, and it varies. When they wanted to scrap what they call SARS, I was one of the people that said SARS shouldn't be scrambled. Rather, it should be the orientation should be given. SARS activities actually in some states took the fight for criminality to the doorsteps. Like in my state, River State, SARS was very, very important, led by one officer called Iwu. They were very, very active because of the type of the peculiarity of crime within River State. It makes it imperative that they need stringent and strong force to push those criminalities to fall. So while in some states the use of SARS might not be visible, in some states it's visible. So these are the same thing that is going to also affect the formation of the state security apparatus. In some states, the crime rate is fair. The crime rate isn't actually the violent one. The crime rate will be drug related. The crime rate will be sexual related or whatever related. So those states may not have the same security architecture as the other states. So these are the varieties.
In all, it's going to lack uniformity. If
that's what I'm saying. Of course, there's going to it will lack uniformity, but all geared towards one essence of protecting lives and properties. What is happening in Plateau State is killings, total taking away of lives. So if you want to form what they call state policing in Plateau State to assist the conventional police, you will have to be it has to be formidable to the extent that they may or they might be carrying weapons, because the aggressors there, the people that perpetrate this evil or crimes there, are armed. So you don't have to get someone that does not have weapon to interface with such people. But I told you, some states, the crime is not really killing. The crimes are drugs activities, cyber crimes. So in forming security architecture to assist the police force in such state, you may not be needing sophisticated guys to do that. You will now need intellectuals. You now need people that can give you what I call intelligent reports. So it will vary definitely. It will vary definitely, because the kind of crimes or the kind of activities around the country are not the same. They differ from what is happening in Lagos. It's not the same thing that's happening in Port Harcourt, not the same thing happening in Jos, nor Sokoto. So these are the things that are going to really thoroughly do thorough research, feasibility studies, and make sure that people that necessarily do not need to carry guns don't carry guns in a certain state. it therefore it therefore will now lead to oppression. In my state, there are no killings. For instance, state A, there are no killings, but the crime is drug, sexual abuses, internet crimes that is bedeviling the state. What you need there is intelligent state policing, not physical or arm carrying state policing. So these are the things that will be considered to ensure that we fight this thing door to door to achieve this aim. If you allow a state that they are not supposed to carry arms and those local policing are with arms, it begins to act also as frightening or an abuse to the people, because their freedom of movement and expression will also be limited. So these are the variations it is going to have, and most importantly, checkmating it against politicians that want to use that architecture for their personal gains, mostly when we drive towards elections. So it's a lot to consider. There's a lot to put in with the legislature to see that there are formidable laws that will really guide the activities of state policing. Be it as it may, or anywhere you want to look at it, state policing is a must-do we should attempt in their country. We are seeing developed countries that have done it. In the USA, it is there. In London, it's in London, yes, of course, it's there. So these are the things we need to at least get the local content, the local people protected of their lives and properties.
Okay, I will have a lot of callers on the line, but before then, I want to remind you of the fact where I talked about issues of funding. Yes. In a country where we don't have funds, like we claim that we don't have. It's not true.
It's not true that we don't have money. I took you slightly to every state government have what they call security votes.
Yes, you made mention of that.
And those security votes are not used for these measures because policing is left in the hands of the federal government. Federal government alone posts personnel to state. Now that they are considering state policing,
you think the states will be able to handle that?
Of course, that is the collaboration I'm talking about, because this is not going to be left in the hands of federal government. It will be more financially, more involvement for them, but it will be a shared this thing. This National Assembly is also going to sit on this and also vote out some percentage of funds to assist in state policing, whereas the state government will deliberately too, because all the members or all the personnel that will do state policing for a particular state will be definitely indigenous of
the state.
So the state will need to cater for them financially and otherwise. You understand? In a parley with the state commissioner of police, they will be able to fix up themselves and get this right. Most officers that are posted to even some states are complaining. The legislatures from state governors, we are seeing that.
Because that's what I'm talking about. So when instances of states owing their government workers, their civil servants also for months. 8 months no pay. So because I'm talking about this because we all know that when the armed force or when officers are not being paid, we see how they end up. At the end of the day, you are seeing uncountable number of roadblocks asking for 10 naira, 20 naira, 15 naira, no matter the amount. It's something. So if they are not being paid, it still boils down to this, and these are the kind of things that we don't want at the end of the day, because the more they are everywhere, the more the possibility of probability of abuses.
Did you hear when Asari Dokubo said on the Kaduna Abuja road, he has provided security boys and they are doing the job very well, and that is because he is also funded and properly funded, and that is because there is that sense of belonging, purposeful belonging on duty. Their major duty there is to ensure that that road is protected from invaders. True or false?
True.
It boils down to being dedicated to what you want to do. The present IG, like I told you, is an intelligent officer. He is here to straighten administration. If the administration is well straightened, police welfare affected, police pay, how they are treated in the state, all these are things that are going to be discussed. If you do state policing and you don't beef up the performance and welfare of the state police, ranging from the commissioner and his officers, it's also not going to be well. So these are the issues in funding, generally speaking. In funding, these are the issues. The police is also going to be concerned. The state policing officers that are going to be recruited are also going to be required in tandem or in line with trainings and making them understand the peculiarity of the job they are to do or they are doing. Anybody that are begin to use it as a way of harassing communities or citizens, that person will also have the way the police work. That person is also going to have the penalties accrued officially or constitutionally to him or her.
All right, we'll have a caller on the line. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning to you. How are you doing today?
Doing great, Sandra.
Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
I came from Lagos anyway. Let me quickly contribute.
Okay.
All right. Hello, Mr. Analyst Alamboye.
Thank you very much.
I really appreciate your analysis. One of the points I want to draw out here is that you see crises are going on in Nigeria, and it seems as if, I'm sorry to say this, it seems as if that we don't have government. Why I'm saying this is this, like the new acting Inspector General of Police that says he feels like a tiger in him, lion, and so on and so forth. Okay. One thing I expect from him now is how is he planning, especially those people possessing illegal weapons. A very good example. We are all Nigerians. Example like Fulani. I'm not accusing Fulani, please. Whatever they hear me, I know we are very good ones. Okay? So all of us should have rights. If Nigeria is going to implement that, everybody will be carrying gun here. Let it be. It shouldn't be for a certain kind of people. I'm not saying only Fulani, for instance. So what plan is the police now having in order to at least evacuate or to at least have a kind of state of emergency, you understand? And place a law that whoever that is caught with gun, whether it's death penalty or whatever, because if there are not certain things like this, there cannot be a problem. That is one. And then issue of the policing in Nigeria, we've been getting it wrong simply because person like me, you understand, and so many of us like that we believe we merit it, but we will never get it because we don't know somebody in the time of recruitment. Okay? We all know it that if you don't have somebody, you can't get to the policing system in this country. Not only policing, other sectors. I'm just talking particularly on the policing. This is where we are getting it wrong. And lastly, the religion and the tribe issue. Down there in the north, even part of the southern part of Nigeria, we keep on having all these attacks and all these things because from religious leaders, the way they preach, both religion, Islam, Christianity, and whatever I want to call it, okay? And there's no checkmate. And lastly, the politicians themselves, they have their thoughts. So what are we talking about? They arm them with weapons. So who's going to do it for us? So this is what we should be talking about. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello, good morning. All right, I think. Hello, good morning. All right, I think we lost that call. Any comments to our lost callers?
Yes, I agree with him very perfectly. You know, let me take you a little bit back to the election period. We saw some very extreme languages used by religious leaders.
Yes.
Yes, and this is not too good. Even though we anticipate or we cry for good governance. So the utterances from religious leaders also matters a lot, mostly to prone areas like the north. There are certain things they don't take for granted, and it can aggravate serious clash. So this is what is happening. Like I'm saying that in a few days now you will hear what the problem is in Jos. They are minor issues, but languages and actions of people that ignites those, they have escalated those issues. So where we have state policing, where we have people that are checkmating those instances on the ground, it will be curtailed. This is where state policing is important. Before you get to a particular police station to report a particular crime, they've finished that crime, people are gone, somebody is dead, and people have retaliated. Actions begotten actions. Actions are happening before the police will prepare itself, begin to approach those areas. Sometimes unequipped, they don't want to go. Sometimes equipped, but they've arrived there, no solution, or they are also meeting confrontation. But if we have checks and balances, people that are closer to, people that are closer to checkmating these devices, there would have been a first class or a first hand resolution before the police will even dive into it. So this is where police community
community police.
Yeah, community policing goes down to the local government, local government to local terrains, to local boundaries. These are let us not shy away from these issues. This is where these problems cut across. For you to enter a state, you would have gone through a boundary, through a community. The community are a people, through those persons to where your target is. So if you have community policing at the boundaries, people that are trained to know how the boundaries functions, and when they see aliens, when they see people that are not of that territory, how to report, how to engage those persons. When you see people in the community, you are a local, you're a state policeman, you are posted to a community, you study the community, you know the community, you are part of that community. When people that do not belong to that community settle, when activities that does not conform, that have never happened in that community begins to happen, you know, that you are aware, and you begin to, yes, immediately you begin to disseminate those information to other authorities or to superior authorities that will cash out or that will bring out further functions on how to arrest those things. If we keep by police, state policing, we would have been solving 60% of quick and easy crimes and what have you. People check into a community, people check into cities, cybercrime violators. They settle into communities, they settle into hotels. If you have state policing, if you have community policing, they will be apprehended. They will know. You don't also know because everybody minds his business. Sure. It takes days or years when a crime has been committed before the attention of police is drawn to it. So whatever we want to discuss this, the antecedent, the advantages of state policing cannot be overemphasized. You cannot compare it to the few disadvantages it might have, which are political hijack and officers officers abusing their level of operations. These things, if they are also curtailed by laws constitutionally, they also have penalty, like the last caller observed. They should also have penalty when they go out of bound. In Rivers State, there's a set of people called tax force. The former governor Governor Wike put our tax force people were just to checkmate illegal parking and then, so that the town is not congested for free movement, vehicular movement and movement of persons. But we see instances where they overboard their distance. So if these people are backed up by checkmates of the police, they don't have the ultimate power to prosecute anybody, but just to keep that law and order of that moment or that particular action. But we also see some very insensitive officers that go overboard to impound people's car, take people's car, take money from them. That is not the function. So we have to get these checks and balances correct, which I think the present IG of police is also going to look into it. I told you, yes, we're going to write to him to see how we can form synergy with him to ensure that we discuss, stakeholders come and discuss these parameters. Governors should engage in this thing, discuss it thoroughly. The security agencies to good a thing. We have a fantastic young man in the person of Ribado. New Ribado, yes, I'm sure. As the NSA, there's an intellectual also coming from the police. So they know they are the people that are concerned with the local architecture of security in the country, and they've served in that capacity. This is the time for them to bring their expertise to see that we fight this menace called insecurity.
All right, thank you so much. I think with that we'll have to draw the curtain today on the press. It's been amazing talking to you, and I know that our viewers have a lot to say in regards to the issue that we just raised, but I'm so sorry I will not be able to take more calls for today because we ran out of time. Thank you so much, Duke, for joining us on the program.
It's a pleasure having me. Thank you too.
All right, I hope to see you again tomorrow. And to those that called and I was not able to take your call, I am so sorry. Please do join us again tomorrow, and I'm very sure we'll be able to continue our conversation on the issues of insecurity and matters arising tomorrow on our national dailies. My name is Sandra Ago. Enjoy the rest of your day.